To today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from the Carpathian Basin here in Europe. I hope everybody is having a good weekend, staying healthy, staying strong, and being productive. In this class, everyone, we are looking at some questions and answers from our members, and we're going to look at a short task 2 introduction body paragraph to see how you can proofread your work or send your work for professional editing and proofreading to get feedback. These materials do come from our websites, and this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, visit us there. And for the general version of the exam, please visit us at gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots and lots of materials to help you, including original practice exams, fully interactive courses, and of course a lot of HD video lessons. I'll quickly show you those while we wait for some of our members. This is our academic IELTS website here with the blue background. You can click that big red button to join the premium package. And this is our general IELTS website here with the green background. Again, you can click that big red button to join us there. You can also download our apps from your app store and link them to your web accounts. Academic IELTS Help app, links to aehelp.com. There's a lot of great free materials. You can try it for free, of course. And for General IELTS, the app is General IELTS Help that you can link to gieltshelp.com. Hi, Milan. Hi, Hassan. Welcome to the class. Hassan, I'm glad to see you here since we have some of your writing to look at today. Thank you for that contribution. And if you have questions, you can send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. You can also get our exam books from Amazon by searching Amazon for AE Helps Academic IELTS or GE Helps General IELTS. Hi, Abhishek. So today we have this question and answer class for you with this editing example as well. And then afterwards we'll have a speaking part 2 cue card lesson and strategy where everybody can join the chat. Of course, it's a good idea to do that. So members, think about your questions. Any question about the IELTS exam, learning for the IELTS, or even just questions about English in general, I'll be happy to answer those. Before we get going with that, let's take a look at an IELTS Task 2 question. Now, Hassan, maybe you sent the question, but I didn't see it. I was able to guess the question from your essay, so I could recreate it. So Hassan, one of the members, of course, he's in the class, was asking, like, how do you proofread? How do you edit your work? What kind of things do you look for? Now, of course, some mistakes you can find on your own. Some mistakes you need to have a tutor, a teacher, or a company like us check and then do professional editing, okay? So this is the question that Hassan is answering, and we're just going to look at the introduction and the body paragraph. So the question is, task 2, you should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Some companies have a strict dress code while others do not. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages and give your opinion. So the first point, Hassan, that you're doing a fairly good job on your essay is I can figure out the task 2 question based on your answer. So that's definitely a good indication. If you ever want to see how accurately you answer the task 2 question, take your essay without the question, give it to someone you know, and ask them to read it, and then ask them, what is the question that I'm answering? If they give you the same question that you really were trying to answer, that's a good sign. If they tell you something completely different, that's usually a sign that you're writing off topic and you're not making a clear argument, okay? All right, so Hassan sent us the full essay, but it would take a little bit, maybe too long to go over it in the class, plus I don't think it's quite necessary. So Hassan has a fairly good idea of essay structure. He's been in a lot of these classes. So this is Hassan's introduction. Let's start with this. Let's just read it. So, in the era of globalization, many firms try to recognize their employees with distinct features such as dress, color, or a unique design. In the business world, which is dog eat dog, creativity is an integral part, and therefore many companies try to be unique from others. Although a particular uniform enables staff to recognize their colleagues from others in the same workplace, I thoroughly believe that it is an individual's choice to wear what suits and is comfortable for them. Okay? All right, so this is Hassan's introduction. So if you were to send this essay to us, we would have our editors professionally edit this, and these are the steps they would take. So I'm going to start editing this, and then we'll stop along the way and do a little bit of back and forth. So this is going to be kind of an interesting start to today's lesson. Okay, so this first sentence, in the era of globalization, many firms try to recognize their employees with distinct features such as dress color and unique design. What part of the essay is this? So this is the introduction. I should say, what part of the introduction is this? Okay. Now I'm going to just start tracking the changes here. And of course, we would do comment balloons for the corrections in our editing, but that won't work in the live class. I'll show you why in a second. So Millen says that that's the hook statement. Yeah, it is. Okay. So this is the hook that Hassan's giving us here, right? What could be a suggestion to make this hook immediately better? Just by looking at it and saying, okay, this is the hook. Looking at this hook, immediately, what might be a suggestion that we could say would make this hook a little bit better? And you're right, Millen, it is the hook. So how could we make that hook a bit better? What could we do? There's a couple of points that I always say about the hook, and it's true in this case as well, to make the hook read a little bit better. Okay, remember, the hook is the first sentence of your essay. Okay, don't give me alternate sentences, just let me know what I can do to make this better. Yeah, so Abhishek says we should make it maybe a little bit shorter, maximum 12 words, right? So we have a lot of words in here. And the difficulty is when you have a lot of words in your hook, then it's easy to make mistakes. And you don't want to have mistakes in the very first sentence of your essay. So I would make this simpler, but let me just correct it and then we'll discuss it. So in the era of globalization, many firms, let's take this out. Okay, so let me see if you can everybody see the red text clearly? I just want to make sure that you're seeing my corrections. So this would be my first correction here. In the era of globalization, many firms distinguish their employees. And then here I would say, by mandating a dress code. Okay? So I've made this a lot shorter. Now, I'll explain the mistakes here. Okay? So try to recognize their employees with distinct. This is the distinct features. Firstly, that's awkward English. So try to recognize their employees with distinct features. That's awkward English, and it's very wordy. And we can take all of that and just use one verb, which is distinguish. Okay, so of course vocabulary does help, but you can say that in different ways, all right? Now the other mistake is the word try. So here, what I would do is I would do a comment balloon. Just bear with me here. So I would write, keep your hook short and clear. Okay, use affirmative language, not try. Okay, So if I were professionally editing this, and I know the screen just went really bright for you, and that's because of Microsoft Word there with the comment balloon. So this is what I would write in this case, okay? So I'll just darken up the screen here. Can everybody see the comment balloon? So in the editing, I would say, keep your hook short and clear, use affirmative language, do not try, okay? Because here Hassan's using the word try to distinguish. Companies don't try to distinguish their employees, they do distinguish their employees. So in essays, use affirmative language, okay? Now, I can't really do comment balloons because then it's going to be really dark, so I'm just going to do what's called in-text commenting instead, and hopefully that'll work a little bit more clearly. But just for this first one here, I wanted to show you how editing actually works. So you would get all these kinds of comments when you use our editing service, okay? All right, so let me just clear that. And let's get back to this. And so let's do a little bit of just in-text editing, okay? So again, keep the hook short and clear. Use affirmative language, not try. So just so we can keep this in the class, okay? All right, so that would be my first correction, okay? Let me brighten up our lives here a little bit so you can see me again, okay? All right. So far, so good? Yeah, everybody's clear? All right. So, Hassan, the idea was good, but the execution could have been better, okay? All right. So here, let's look at the next sentence. In the business world, which is dog eat dog, creativity is an integral part, and therefore many companies try to be unique from others by having corporate uniforms. Okay? So again, this sentence here, I would say complete your idea to make sense. Okay, so it's a good start here, Hassan, but it's an incomplete idea. Okay, the topic is uniforms, and you have to make sure that you finish your sentences. This is a common mistake in writing, that students have a good idea or candidates have a good idea, but they don't finish their ideas, okay? So in the business world, which is dog eat dog, creativity is an integral part, and therefore many companies try to be unique from others by having corporate uniforms. Now, this is okay, but I think for the background, it's a little bit off topic as well. Okay, so when we're correcting and editing work, we have to be careful not to completely change the original essay. We have to make sure that the candidate or the student can step by step improve. So if I were being really hard here, students, I would actually create another comment bubble here, and my comment bubble would say, this is slightly off topic for the background, this sentence, okay? I think it could be a little bit better. Mahi, you're very welcome. It was a good question, okay? And I think we're going to talk about that a little bit here too, Mahi, about the thesis, okay? All right. So, so the definition and the importance of this question, I think, could be a little bit more accurate, okay? Could be a little bit more accurate, okay? And then here comes the thesis. So this is clearly the thesis, okay? So the structure is there. I can see Hassan's structure of hook, background, thesis. I can see the thesis here. Although a particular uniform enables staff to recognize their colleagues from others in the same workplace, I thoroughly believe that it is an individual's choice to wear what suits them and is comfortable for them, okay? All right. Just a little bit of correction here. So I can see that Hassan's going to discuss these points, which is good. And it's a fairly accurate hook, just a little bit of grammatical correction. So although a particular uniform enables staff to recognize their colleagues, we don't need this. Let me see if my review is going on. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we don't need from others, simply it's understood from colleagues, so this is a bit wordy. So we can just read this as to recognize their colleagues in the same workplace. I would probably change this to from the same workplace. It's more accurate. I thoroughly believe that it is an individual's choice to wear what suits and is comfortable for them. So there's a missing be verb here because this sentence should read individual's choice to wear what suits them or and is what suits them or what is comfortable for them. Okay, so here we have a little bit of what's called incorrect parallel grammar in the points. Okay, so when you're doing this, you'd want to have correct parallel grammar and you want to simplify. So I would actually change this whole thing to, I thoroughly believe that it's an individual's choice to wear suitable and comfortable clothing. Let's just stop there. Okay. So this is what you want to do at home. So of course I can do the correction, or a good teacher or a professional should be able to do the correction for you. But this is something that you can check at home. Okay, so especially for the thesis, it's really important that you have parallel grammar. So suitable, comfortable clothing, adjective, noun, and it's now simpler while saying the same idea. Okay, at home, when you write the thesis and you create your thesis points, think about, okay, can I make this simpler? Is there another word form for suits? Okay, and comfortable. Okay, maybe you'll realize that, oh, look, there are adjective forms for this, so I can use adjective forms. Does that make sense? So now the thesis reads as, although a particular uniform enables staff to recognize their colleagues from the same workplace, I thoroughly believe it is an individual's choice to wear suitable and comfortable clothing. That's how that thesis reads now. I'm sure most of you will realize that it's much clearer while having the same information. Does everybody see that? Okay, so does everybody see how it's the same thesis, just clearer and more concise? Okay, now again, you can practice this kind of correction and proofreading on your own as well. This type of mistake, by the way, Hassan, it's not an English as a second language speaking mistake. This is a common mistake or common challenge for native speakers as well, and this is kind of what many of them work in high school and college to fix when they're writing their thesis. Okay, and I can see that you're all picking up this idea and you're going, yeah, okay, I get that. All right, so here I would make a comment like in the comment bubble, I would make a comment like watch parallel grammar in your thesis. Generally speaking, you have to watch parallel grammar, but especially in your thesis, and keep it concise. Okay? So that would be my comment bubble there. All right? And then now the paragraph is much clearer, and so if you're wondering, we've basically have improved this introduction from a band, let's say 6.5 to 7, and we've improved it to a band 8 to 8.5. So now this paragraph moves from band 6.57 to 8.5. If you're wondering, well, why not a 9? It's because, as I mentioned to you, the background could be a little bit better, could be a little bit more accurate to the question. The definitions and the importance of the question could be more accurate. And that's not with the language, that's with the content. Okay? All right? Okay, so let me give you a choice here. We have a body paragraph. Would you like me to go through the body paragraph the same way, or would you like me to just let you have the floor and you can ask me any questions about IELTS? Would you like me to go through body paragraph 1 here, or do you want to just throw some questions at me? What do you feel? Let's take a vote on that. Okay, just write body or questions. Okay, Janiel says continue. Millen says I want questions. Okay, well, I'll take a look here. Just that's 50-50 so far, so I need some more votes. Okay, because I think many of you get the idea now about editing and how to go through the editing. Okay, so body, 2 against 1. I'll give you a couple more seconds. I think there's maybe a little bit of a delay. All right, so it looks like many of you are saying, I think that's good. Let's keep editing a little bit. Sure. All right. So Hassan says, just mark with your pen. It's easier. I think it'll get really messy, Hassan, very fast if I do that. So what I can do, Hassan, is I can just go a little bit faster paced, okay? Okay, so here we go. I'll do a little bit of what's called smooth editing. So a little bit of less talking, and then we'll go through it that way, okay? All right, so let me just edit. Just pay attention to what I'm doing, and then I'll actually get you to give me the feedback here, okay? So I'll track the changes, and then you can tell me what's going on here, okay? So I'm making corrections here. Welcome, Afreed, to our group of members. I'm making corrections here. As I'm making the corrections, think about why I'm doing that, because I'm going to ask you after, okay, to tell me why I'm doing that. So. Okay. So overall, not a very bad paragraph at all. In fact, it's quite good, Hassan. So let's go through some of these corrections, and then we'll see if you can figure out what's going on here. Okay. This is why doing this, by the way, peer review and peer editing is a really good idea. So if you find some other IELTS students who are roughly your level, it's good to do this in groups, the exact same exercise. All right, so why did I take this out to begin with? Why did I delete the to begin with and then just capitalize this C to companies? Why do that? Okay, why would that correction make this read better? Or at a higher level? Okay. Again, welcome Afreed. Make sure to send me an email so I can hook you up with those videos and also join in on the chat. Yeah, so Abhishek says, well, I probably removed that because this is not really the beginning to anything other than what you're saying. So it's not a process here. We're not discussing a process in this paragraph. We're simply discussing the benefits of uniforms. So what I feel here, yeah, Rajveer says it's a cliche expression. So it's both of those. So Abhishek, Rajveer, it's what you both said together. Okay, it's cliche. Way too many IELTS students will write this unnecessarily when it's not in a process. So there's no value to this, and it doesn't really make the connection clear. So yes, use leading expressions, but only use them when it's sensible, when there's a need for it. Okay, there's no need for this, and it's not really sensible. So it shouldn't be there. Okay. At the college or university level, which is your band 8, band 9 level, this is unnecessary and wordy. And your probably the professor's assistant, who's usually doing the marking, will cross that out, okay, in your English class. So just start with companies. Why did I take out try to? So Abhishek, Rajveer, yeah, you got it. It's cliche, it's unnecessary. Why did I take out try to? So what would my comment bubble say in this case? Yeah, so Rajveer says that it's weak language, right? Exactly. So in argument essays, you want to use affirmative language. You're creating a position. And you'll find that in university especially, they will cross this out and say, do not use weak language in persuasive essays where you want to prove a point, but use clear affirmative language, even for the counter argument. Okay, so companies promote. It's not something companies try to do, it's something that companies do. Okay, so companies promote their brands as much as they can, and one way to do this is, it's a missing be verb here, is by instructing their staff to wear a specific uniform. So that reads much better, more professionally. When a workforce wears the same garment in the workplace, by the way, Hassan, this is a really nice complex sentence that you've created here with the subordinating conditional when, okay? So it is solid writing, Hassan, and you'll find that out in a second when I give you your score for the paragraph, okay? So this can be advantageous for a company to some extent. Okay, here it's okay. This is good to some extent. Now here, Hassan, you put a period. Can everybody see that tiny little correction after extent? So after extent, there's actually a mistake. And I'm going to enlarge that. You can see it here. Okay, so I took out that period. That's a sentence break. And then, of course, you have this here. That could be a typo, but that will count as a mistake. And it could actually count as a bad mistake. Okay, missed punctuation like this can be very confusing to a reader who is fluently going through your essay. So be really careful to avoid punctuation mistakes. Otherwise, the punctuation that Hassan's using here is quite good. Okay, so Hassan's punctuation is quite accurate, except for that one typo. All right. So, and no comma here because the independent clause is followed by the dependent clause. So, because this not only markets their brand, okay, why this S comes in because I took out the can. Why did I take out the can? Anybody know why I took out the can? So why would I say because this not only can market? Instead, I said this is better to read because this not only markets their brand, but. So why did I take out the can here and add the S here? Pay very careful attention to that. Okay. So why do that? What was the logic there? Yeah, exactly, Hassan. So you lessen the verb. And you don't want to lessen the verb, okay? It's the same as the try to. So it's called affirmative language, okay? So Hassan, you want to focus on using more affirmative language because this not only markets their brand. So companies don't just can market their brand with uniforms, they do market it. So this not only markets their brand, but also helps staff to easily recognize each other. Okay. Their team, I think, is a little bit awkward here because it's not just their team, it's each other. So this is more of just sounding natural and a little bit more accurate. Okay. The latter can be very crucial in a location that has multiple companies. Why did I change which to that? And this is coming from one of our previous classes that we just had. And I think, Rajveer, this is your chance to shine because this was Rajveer's question in one of our Q&A classes. When do I use which? When do I use that? This is a great example of that. So why did I change the which to that? Rajveer says it's a non-restrictive clause. It's the opposite, Rajveer. It's a restrictive clause, okay? So you use which when it's a non-restrictive clause, and you use that when it's a restrictive clause. So this is a restrictive clause, okay? What that means, students, is that this information here is needed to understand this beginning. So the latter can be very crucial in a location. What kind of location? A location that has multiple companies. If I take all of this out, okay, the sentence doesn't make sense. Okay, so the latter can be very crucial in a location. What? Right? Doesn't make sense. So what that means is that this sentence must have this clause in order for it to make sense. When you have that situation, you have to use that instead of which. Yeah, so we cannot take out the clause in this case. Does that make sense? So this is a very technical kind of grammar correction. Okay? Everybody clear on that? So if you missed that class about restrictive, non-restrictive clause, you can learn more about that. We have a blog on the website. I'll quickly show you that because I think a lot of you can really get a lot of value from this. So let me just darken the screen. Just give me 1 second here, everyone. So again, this is our academic IELTS website. And in the academic IELTS website, I know many of you have access to this. So if you go to the blogs, okay, it's in the top right here. So you go to the blog, and then here's a blog that we put up on September 3rd. It's called Linking Words, Connectives. Okay, so if I read more on that one, then here you have an explanation of conjunctions and leading expressions. Please read this. I know it's a lot, but it's very, very valuable. And then we have the definitive pronouns, which are which and that. Okay, so here you have definitive pronouns, that versus which. Okay, So you have a really good explanation of that and which, and then you also have some example sentences with the answer key at the bottom. So that's in the blogs. Okay, if you haven't seen that, check that out. And then you can really figure out when to use that, when to use which, and you won't make this kind of a mistake with your restrictive, non-restrictive clause. Okay, so again, that's on the website in the blog. Okay, you'll find it there, of course, with lots of other goodies as well. Okay. All right, so let me brighten up our day here a bit. There I am. Hi. Okay. So which has multiple companies. To be more specific, I work as an architectural engineer at a construction site, and this site comprises nearly 200 firms. Therefore, it is very easy for me to notice staff from other firms. Okay, so here in this, let's call it the last correction, I took out the different staff, those who work in another firm, and I just wrote staff from other firms, and I even took out the comma. What's my correction here? So in this very last one, from here to here, what's the correction? What's the key correction that I'm doing? I'll give you a hint. The grammar is okay. Yeah, exactly. So very good, Hassan. Very good, Rajveer. So both of you are saying it's too wordy. Okay. Students, do not overcomplicate your writing unnecessarily. That is bad. Yeah, Abhishek says target what you're saying directly. There are a lot of students, a lot of IELTS candidates who think that if they write these really complex, long sentences with lots of words, they're going to get a really great score. That is absolutely not true. If you are writing a wordy essay, you will get a lower score, okay? Notice how we still have a lot of great sentences in this paragraph that are nice and complex, which are used well. This one here is unnecessary. We can write a much simpler sentence and express the same idea, okay? So I'm not telling you to just write simple sentences. That's not going to work. Okay, but don't write complex sentences unnecessarily. It takes a lot of practice. It takes feedback like this and time, but otherwise, it's absolutely doable. Okay. All right, so that's how editing works. Okay. And if you want to see some examples of editing work, you can look at those on the websites also. So Hassan, thank you so much for taking the courage and the time to ask this question and send your work. It's very brave of you to publicly share your work and share your mistakes. So I'd like everybody to give a little bit of an applause with your emojis to Hassan for asking this question and for sharing his work with us. It's definitely a valiant gesture. And Hassan, I would say that this paragraph before marking, just the paragraph, okay, it's a little bit higher than your introduction. So before marking, it would be about a 7.5. After, it would be, let's say, an 8.5. We could do a little bit more, almost maybe even a 9, okay? So before marking, 7.5. After marking, 8.5, maybe a 9, okay? It's quite strong. There's a really good structure of topic sentence, explanation, example, okay? So that's how it works, all right? Now, my general comment, so whenever we do editing for students, we also give general comments, so key feedback and general comments. So this is what I would give you, Hassan. So I would say A, create or write a more accurate background to your introduction, okay? And B, use affirmative language instead of weak language, like try and can. Okay, so that would be my general feedback to you, Hassan. That's kind of the mistake that's dropping your score, or those are the mistakes dropping your score. So really pay attention to that. Depending on the rest of your essay, I might also say something like avoid wordiness. Okay, so that would be my general feedback. So Hassan, these are the 3 points that you want to pay attention to in your future writing. Okay. If people want this kind of editing work, again, you can get it on our websites. Of course, it's paid. You can see why I'm doing the work right now. But it's worth it. Even 1 or 2 essays, oftentimes students say, hey, it was really good to use your editing services. I improved by 1 band in 2 weeks. So yeah, good idea. It's a good investment of money. Okay, cool. So we've got a little bit more time. We've got about another 10, 15 minutes. So I'll take a few questions, everyone. And I think, that I'm sure had a lot of value for many people on how to edit and look at work. Okay. Rajveer says, yeah, that was fantastic. Okay. All right. Some questions. Ois says, we have trouble to choose the appropriate vocabulary because we use the vocabulary that we know. Ois, that's good. Okay. So Ois says, how can I be more dynamic with the vocabulary I use, not just vocabulary that I know? Okay. Ois, I changed your question a little bit. Just going to use O there. Here's the answer. Okay. One is a tip that I just gave you. Okay. So remember what I said to you? I said, look at other possible word forms when you're reviewing and see if that can help you to simplify your essay or make it more concise. Okay. So the answer here is use a dictionary and a thesaurus when you review your writing to see if there are other word forms that could help you make your work more concise. Okay. Also, find synonyms that can more accurately express your ideas. And of course, one other one, Ois, is read lots. Okay. And read lots. Okay. Reading really helps to expand vocabulary. That's what you should do. Okay. Milland is asking, should we write our test with a pen or a pencil? I think the best is to write it with a pencil. So the best is, should I write the test with pen or pencil? I believe you can use both. I know we've been asked this before and we have the answer somewhere on our website, but if I remember correctly, you can use both. So should I write the test with a pen or pencil? Things are always changing in IELTS too, so you always want to check. If you have the chance, okay, write it with a pencil and a good eraser. Good eraser. Okay. It'll just be a little bit more clean that way. It'll be cleaner. Okay. All right. Yeah, you definitely don't want to make a mess of your paper. Also, penmanship matters. So you have to have clear writing. Okay, if you're doing the paper-based exam, have clear writing. This is one advantage of the computer-based exam because you don't have to worry about penmanship. In the paper-based exam, you do have to worry about penmanship. So, okay, I think there was a question earlier on as well. Alfred, Ahmad, we haven't seen any comments from you. Join in. Don't be shy. Welcome aboard. All right. Dr. Krishna, if you're still here, I see your question from way earlier on. You said you've put your writing in for re-evaluation. Yeah, I did see that email. It was one of my colleagues that answered it, Dr. Krishna, but we discussed it, and absolutely you should ask for a reevaluation. I really hope they give you that half band on your writing, because then you don't have to worry about IELTS again. So, and if they don't, Dr. Krishna, then I highly recommend sending some of your work for editing so that you can figure out kind of the key mistakes as what we did with Hassan today, okay? So hopefully that doesn't happen, though. I hope I don't have to see your work, because I hope you get that half band on your writing, because your other marks are fantastic. Listening 8.5, reading 8, speaking 7.5. So just a half band on writing. And make sure to keep practicing your writing, Dr. Krishna. So keep working on your writing, and you're very welcome, okay? All right, Preeti, I see a task 2 question from you there. I'm not sure what you want me to do with that. Oh, that was your task 2 question today in your or in your exam. So Preeti is sharing the exam question, I guess, from the official test that you had. And it was, some people think that families do not communicate anymore as in the past. Do you agree or disagree? Give reasons and examples. And I hope, Preeti, that you said, no, they don't, okay? We communicate with each other, families, but we definitely communicate differently than in the past, both in the content of information and the medium, right? So we speak about different ideas, different situations, because we live in a different historical time, Preeti, and we use different methods of communication, like video chat and texting each other when being far apart. So, Preeti, if you're, for that question, that task 2 question, my thesis would have been this. I completely agree that families today do not communicate the same as in the past. Both the information and medium of communication has changed. So this would have been your band 9 answer for that. And let's take out redundancy, interact. Okay. So this could have been your band 9 response to that question, Preeti. I completely agree that families today do not interact the same as in the past. Both the information and medium of communication has changed. If you got something like that going on, you were on the right track. Okay. So for anybody who did the IELTS exam today, and I guess many people who had that question, that would have been a good way to answer that. And I probably switch medium and information around and talk about medium first and then the information. Okay? Thanks for sharing that, Preeti, by the way. Okay. All right. Everybody got that? So did everybody catch Preeti's question there, or Preeti's contribution of that task 2 question and this thesis statement? Did everybody pick up on why or how I did that? Right? Okay. Again, that was some really fast planning in my head, right? A lot of very quick critical thinking of what, why, how, visualization, topic, controlling idea. And you can be that fast if you practice, okay? All right. Nick Hill says either learning the topic vocabulary is better or learning by reading news and academic vocabulary. Nick Hill, learning vocabulary in context is always a good idea, okay? So let me just correct this. So I would do it like this. Okay, so that would be your band 9 response, Preeti, or thesis. Okay, yeah, so Nikhil's saying learning vocab is better, learning by reading news. So my answer there, Nikhil, is you should always learn vocabulary in context and use it Okay. There's a very wise, I think it's a Tao saying. Tao says, I hear and I forget. I see and I understand. I do and I learn. Okay? So when you're learning vocabulary, Nick Hill, this is also true. I didn't make this up. This is thousands of years old, and I think it holds a lot of weight. I hear and I forget. We hear a lot of information in the day, and we forget it, and it's true, okay? Even when we're studying actively. When we see, we kind of start to understand, and that's because humans are visual beings. Our primary sensory organ are the eyes, right? So we learn much more powerfully, most of us, through our eyes than through our ears, okay? But we truly learn when we do. And in learning a language, that means using the language. That means speaking and writing, okay? All right. This is reading. And this is simply so this is why I always want you to engage these classes. I want you to be active in these classes. Okay. All right, everyone. So I think that was fantastic. A lot of good questions at the end here. Again, one more time, Hassan, thank you so much for your contribution. It was a very good request as well for this Q&A class. If ever anybody has a good idea for this Q&A class, members, by all means, fire away, okay? Let me know what it is. If I can make it work in the class, I certainly will, all right? The next Q&A class, of course, will be in 2 weeks' time. We'll have lots of classes before then, so you have lots of time to think about your questions. Keep this advice in mind. It's very, very useful. And hopefully I will see all of you in 30 minutes for some speaking part 2, okay? And for all of our viewers, go to aehelp.com or glshelp.com to get help with writing, speaking, and of course, use the premium package. Spend a couple dollars. You'll get a lot of great knowledge and information to improve English and communication so that you can get higher band scores effectively and in a real way. That's it for right now. I will be back in half an hour. Much love to all of you. Hopefully, I will see you soon. You're welcome, Abhishek. See you, Milind. You're welcome, Nick Hill. Bye, Janil. Bye, Rajveer and Hassan. Bye for now. See you soon.